If you live in Canada and feel like you're financially behind, here are the signs that prove you're actually doing better than you think, even if it doesn't feel like it. After helping thousands of people take control of their money over the past decade, I've learned a thing or two about what financial success actually looks like. For starters, the signs that you're above average have nothing to do with what you see on social media. Social media is fake. Like, honestly, so fake. Today, I'm breaking down what being below, middle, or above some key financial benchmarks really looks like and why you might be in a pretty good spot already. Make sure to subscribe because I know you're going to want to hear this. Okay, let's start off with some numbers that I know will make you feel pretty good about yourself. Check off each one as I share, then let me know in the comments how many you got out of 4. Number 1, did you know that 1 in 3 Canadians do not have an emergency fund? That means if you've got an emergency fund of say 3 to 6 months of your expenses saved up in a high-interest savings account, you're doing better than 1/3 of the population. Number 2, did you know that almost half of Canadians carry non-mortgage debt? If you don't carry a balance on your credit card and don't owe any money on a line of credit, you're doing better than half of Canadians. Number 3, did you know that only 48% of Canadians contribute money to their investments every year? If you're regularly investing, then you're doing better than almost half the country. And number 4, you may not realize this is a sign that you've got your financial stuff together, but it is. Did you know that 52% of Canadians don't have a will? Well, if you've got dependents and or any kind of assets like investments or a home you own, you need a will. So go get one done with a lawyer or use my personal favorite for DIY online wills in Canada, Willful. Link below. But if you already have a will, well done, you're beating 52% of Canadians. So to recap, if you have an emergency fund, don't have any consumer debt, invest regularly, and have a will, you're well above average. Pat yourself on the back. Now, let's dig into income levels in Canada and how you compare, because I feel like social media has skewed our perspective on what a normal income is. For example, it's not normal to earn $50,000 a month despite what Sally the sales coach says. For a big dose of reality, which I think we all really need, let's look at some real numbers. Per Statistics Canada, the median after-tax income for a Canadian household is $74,200. I know people always use the term average when talking about income levels, but it's actually more accurate to use the median as it better represents the middle income of the population. But even with that median number I just shared, it doesn't tell the whole story. You see, it lumps together families of 2 people or more and individuals. If you're a family, then the median after-tax income is actually much higher at $104,800. For an individual, it's much lower at $40,000. I also mentioned after tax, which means those numbers are actually higher if we're comparing median income levels to gross pre-tax salaries. So you're looking at about $150,000 gross income for a family and $50,000 gross income for an individual. That means that if you're single and have a salary above $50,000, you're above most income earners in Canada. And if you're in a couple, if your combined gross income is above $150,000, same thing. Now, obviously, these numbers don't take into account things like the region you live in. So if we were to compare provinces and territories, here are the after-tax numbers for individuals across the country. As you can see, these numbers likely reflect the cost of living in each place. For example, I know it can be quite expensive to live in the Northwest Territories, so it would make sense that the middle income of that population would be the highest. Now, these numbers also don't account for age. Obviously, you're going to be earning your lowest income when you're younger, and it will increase as you get older and gain more experience and expertise in your field. So taking a look at ages, here's what we've got for median after-tax incomes for individuals by age. To put this into perspective, let's take a look at my friend Max. He's single, 32 years old, lives in Nova Scotia, and works as a dental hygienist with a gross salary of $70,000. Comparing him to these median numbers and then factoring in what his income would look like before taxes, he's well above the median income in Canada, in Nova Scotia, and for his age range. Way to go, Max. Next, let's talk about net worth. Now, I want to say one of the best things I do to keep myself accountable with my finances has been to track my net worth every single month. I honestly wish I started sooner, though I have actually been doing it for almost 9 years. But what's really cool about doing it for so long is I can track my progress from age 30 to 39 and really see what made the biggest impact on my wealth building journey. It also gives me continued motivation because once I hit one net worth milestone, I get excited to set another one to see how far I can go. Now, how I track my net worth is with my budget spreadsheets, which you can access through my YouTube store or linked below. Now, why I prefer a simple spreadsheet to, say, using an app is because, first, I own my information, not some company who may end up selling it to some other company one day, or just completely shutting down, like Mint did last year. Also, every year I can just make a new copy of the spreadsheet and start again, and can easily keep all my old spreadsheets in a folder to look back on anytime. So what is a decent net worth in Canada? Well, as per Statistics Canada, here are the numbers. As you can see, the median net worth for someone under 35 is $159,100. For someone my age in the range of 35 to 44, it jumps to $409,300. Then between 45 to 54, it's $675,800. And between 55 and 64, we jump all the way up to $873,400. But then it dips to $738,900 for 65 or older, likely because that's when that age group begins to withdraw money from their savings to live on in retirement. Checking back in with my friend Max, he's been saving and investing since he graduated from university and started working in his field at 22 years old. Now, he started with only $1,000 to invest, but he was very eager to start building wealth, so he continued to contribute $450 bi-weekly off each paycheck for 10 years with an annualized rate of return of 8%. After 10 years, that initial $1,000 investment has grown to $177,780.09. That's about $18,000 over the median for his age bracket. But will he exceed the $409,000 net worth median once he cracks into the 35 to 44 age bracket? Well, if he doesn't change a thing and keeps investing the same amount, he'll surpass that median net worth once he turns 39 or after a total of 17 years of investing. And by the time he turns 45, entering that third income bracket, he'll have accumulated $677,740.96 in investments after a total of 22 years of investing. Now, by the time he's 55 and enters that fourth age bracket, after 33 years of investing, he'll have $1.7 million in investments. This just goes to show that it's not as hard as you may think to grow your net worth over time, as long as you're being smart and doing things like keeping your cost of living low and starting to invest early. So take a look at your age range and compare. How are you doing? Are you in line with the median or above? If so, great job. If you're below it, let this serve as some motivation to pay down your debts, earn more income, and invest to increase your net worth in the future. And speaking of investing, I also want to remind you that I've been teaching students for over 4 years how to invest with ETFs through my Wealth Building Blueprint for Canadians course. If you want to learn more, click the link below or visit jessicamorehouse.com/course. Now, if you are above these medians, well done. You likely also want to know, how rich are you compared to other wealthy households? Well, as per the Parliamentary Budget Officer's High Net Worth Family Database, here's how much you need to be in the top spots. And remember, these are household numbers, so if you're in a couple, include you and your partner's combined net worths. To be in the top 1% of Canadians for wealth, you need at least $7.4 million. For the top 5%, you need over $2.8 million. Top 10%, over $2 million. And then to crack the top 20%, over $1.3 million. And just a little fun fact, because you might be wondering, okay, well, where are the billionaires in that? Well, they're obviously in the top 1%, but you should just know there are only 100 families in Canada who are billionaires. Even though social media may make it feel like everyone's a billionaire, no, they're not. Only 100 families in Canada. Checking back on Max, at 32, it looks like he currently sits in the bottom 40% for net worth, which makes sense because he's still young and just starting to build wealth. But once he's in his 50s, he'll be in the top 20% for net worth. And again, this is assuming he remains single and doesn't increase his investment contributions over time as his income increases. I will just say though, working with so many financial counseling clients over the years, the road to reaching 6 or even 7 figures in net worth can feel long and slow. So you really do need to do it in steps and be patient. One insightful thing Rose Hahn shared with me when she was a guest on the More Money podcast was that the road to hitting a $0 net worth was actually the hardest thing to do on her wealth building journey. And that means getting to a place where your assets outweigh any debts you have or you become debt free. Then getting to your first $1,000 is actually a bit easier than getting to zero. Reaching your first $10,000 is actually easier than getting to your first $1,000. And once you reach your first $100,000, which may take some time, there's a bit of a tipping point when that happens, which is really cool to see because the growth of your investments will likely start to outpace your own contributions, and you'll really get to see the magic of compound interest and your money finally working for you. So just remember, it doesn't matter where you're starting from, but it's important to focus on where you want to go. Then it's just about making a plan to get there and sticking to it until you do. To end things off, I just want to remind you that although it's handy to have some of these numbers to work towards, at the end of the day, it literally doesn't matter how you compare it to others. And that's because the only benchmark you should really be using is the one you set for yourself. What I mean by that is don't get lost trying to follow someone else's achievements because they may look nothing like yours. Instead, ask yourself, what are my goals? What's truly important to me and what would make me feel fulfilled? What do I want out of life and how can I use money as a tool to get it? In other words, you need to define financial success for yourself, not use someone else's metrics, because let me tell you, you'll never be satisfied. But if you do want to get started, you need a plan. My budget spreadsheets can help you get things organized, and you need to build wealth through investing. To learn some of the fundamentals of investing, check out this video up next. Well, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to comment below if you have any questions, or let me know how many of those 4 things that you got that I mentioned earlier, and I'll see you in my next video.